So we had a low of 28 degrees last night, and as you can see right now, the ground is very frosty, and it's finally starting to feel like winter's about to set in. You can see my wife is in the middle of cleaning up the last gasps of her garden. Pretty much the only things we still have going are our kale factory and some Brussels sprouts and just a few last winter squash that are hardening off. But pretty much everything else around the farm has been harvested. These are the remnants of some of our cabbages, which I'll give to the other animals. Good morning, large white farm dogs. How are you guys doing? You look very happy. Hi, happy Toby dog. Hi, happy Abby dog. Good morning, you guys. Good morning. Hey, inside, inside, please. Inside, inside, thank you. Hello, my Abby dog. Hello, my Toby dog. Hi. Whoa. Both dogs are so full of beans right now. It's actually really nice. Like even Toby dog's running around with the zoomies if you can't see it. It's mornings like this that makes me glad to be on the farm. Good morning, Goaty Otises. How are you guys doing? Come on, I'm gonna let you out. I want you to work more alongside the greenhouse today. That's actually gonna be where I'm working too. Come on. Toby dog's so excited to be in the greenhouse. Come on, fellas, let's go, come on. So actually the task I have on tap for today is I'm going to have to try to start to clean up and prep the greenhouse hoop coop. Now I've already gone through and harvested pretty much all of the pumpkins. We had a total of 74 pumpkins produced on the farm this year inside just this one space. We also have lots of lamb's quarter that you see here that's died back, as well as pigweed, which is like a form of amaranth. And so everything remaining in here is just gonna be food for my animals. And now that I've made some good progress on my recovery from my injury with my foot, I now have to put in the work to get this greenhouse in good shape so that probably in the next few days, I can start moving the chickens in here first, as well as the other birds, because we are getting cold temps. Like I said, I think the low is like 28 degrees, maybe 29 degrees overnight. It's like 31 right now. And that is in the wildly American-centric Fahrenheit system. But I have stuff like all of these things that I need to get cleaned up and put away. I need to take down the sides of the hoop coop. I also want to do some updates and reinforcement of the fencing that I have around the hoop coop. And all in all, just get everything really ready for winter.
Winter is coming.
I actually have like a little attachment that goes on my drill that makes this super easy to do, but I forgot to bring it out with me. And it'll just go as easier if I just do it by hand versus getting the attachment, getting the drill, coming back out here. Sometimes the most efficient way to do something is not necessarily the easiest way to do something. So other than some driveway ruts and our pig area that got flooded out when we had some flooding this past summer, the only other flood damage we really got was there were some rips that ended up happening in the plastic of the hoop coop, which I actually have some special tape that I just ordered and bought and it just arrived 2 days ago. And I'm gonna use that stuff to patch up those holes, which all things considered, seeing just how absolutely horrible and devastating the flood was for some of our neighbors, I feel like exceptionally lucky in terms of what happened to our farm. Now, ordinarily, this would be the time in the morning that I would be pumping water for the animals, but as you can see by this water bucket, most of the water kind of froze. And because we're still in our summer watering setup, and in our summer watering setup, like 95% of all of our watering infrastructure is above ground, that actually means that the pipes are mostly frozen right now as we get out here this morning. But our high is gonna be 50 degrees today, and so it'll warm up in, I don't know, 2-3 hours. And so I typically, when we have nights like this and I still have my summer watering setup, that's when I'll wait to do the water chores until later in the day. In a couple of weeks, when I switch over to my winter setup, and like it is a actually hard switch, where pretty much like one morning I wake up and just doing all my chores winter style. When that happens, everything will be set up in a way that the lines won't freeze, but I don't have that right now. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, why don't I just bury all of my water lines like I have the one that runs from the barn to the shed over there, as well as the line that runs from that shed over there over to this hydrant right here. And the reason is this: we have extremely rocky soil. I mean, it actually took my buddy Alfred. You guys remember my buddy Alfred, right? My buddy Alfred! Well, it took him almost like a day to dig a trench that was deep enough to be below our frost line, which is about 6 feet, to go from that hydrant over there to this hydrant over here, because there was just so much rock and boulder, and he had to like crack a couple of boulders open. And so by virtue of 3 major factors, it's not practical to dig trenches for all of our water lines, particularly when you think about the cattle cattle areas and like where they're grazing in the summer. You know, I think at this point we have like 3,500 feet of black poly pipe that sits above ground running around the farm. And really that black poly piping system is super useful because pretty much over the span of a 50-acre space, using only a 25-foot garden hose, I can get any water I want to anywhere on the farm by just adding an attachment to the end of the hose and plugging it into one of the various plug points we have around the farm. Super, super useful. But to do a system like that where I'm digging trenches and burying those water lines, even if I'm burying them enough to like not freeze on a day like today, oh, it would have probably taken me 10, maybe 20 times more time just to do that basic layer. And I don't know, it would have probably taken Alfred all summer on an excavator to dig enough trenches to cover that much ground around the entire farm because the soil is so rocky and because you do have to go 6 feet deep. And so to me, the best possible compromise is to have both a summer setup and a winter setup and just switch it over when the time comes. It always makes shoulder season moments like this a little bit tricky and awkward because you will have like to change up because it just freezes just a tiny bit overnight. But I will probably only end up doing this for the next 2, maybe 3 weeks until I switch over to winter full time, and then I'll be doing that until, I don't know, mid-May or something like that. So, you know, I picked some of this cabbage just for you guys, but it looks like you got aggressive and already started chomping through it. Well, enjoy. These were meant to be goat treats. Now I want you to stay in here, okay? Don't get into mischief. I'm gonna keep this door closed just to keep you inside. All right, time for food for the barn cat. The cat water didn't totally freeze, but definitely got that nice little disc of ice. Got most of our winter wood stacked. I bought some extra, so I've got some of this wood that needs to get put away. I also like to stash some of the extra wood that I have in these totes, which are typically for like big, like 125-gallon water totes. But instead of using the IBC totes for water, these make great firewood containers. And then what's nice is I can just use the pallet forks on the tractor and scoop these up and then move them closer to the house when the appropriate time comes. Goats, you're on the wrong side of the fence. What happened here? Come on, let's go. I love those goats, but they can cause trouble. At this point, I have angry ducks and geese that are just demanding to be fed. Don't worry, Carmen, I can't forget about the weirdos. Here you go, weird chickens. Come on in there, don't be shy. Get your bite. So you guys will notice that our rooster, Barry White, opted to leave the weird chickens. And so to the question that I had put out in a previous video about whether or not he should live with the weird chickens, he kind of answered that question for himself. Well, if I was ever under any delusions that the goats would respect the greenhouse walls, I was sorely mistaken. It doesn't look like they did any damage, but I think they just hopped the fence and they're now back over here. The thing I gotta be careful for is I don't want the goats eating the bird food because that's the kind of thing that could actually give them like bladder stones or kidney stones or something. And so I'm trying to keep them desperately away from that grain, only giving them weeds, only giving them alfalfa so that they don't get more nutrition than they need and cause problems for themselves. Now, can I have the expectation that you boys are gonna behave while I go get some water for you and the dogs? Can you please at least just respect this for like 5 minutes? Just to give the birds enough time to eat their food? Yes, I'm here pumping water. And the goats seem to be respecting their boundary. I see Barney and Larn over there. I see Telly over here. You know, I'm actually pouring your water right now, so you guys better not get into any mischief, please. I feel like if there's any instigator in mischief, it's always Larn. He seems to be the most mischievous of the goats. They also love to rub up against the fencing and the fence posts, almost as a way to give themselves a healthy scratch. Well, 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 look at this. This worked out good. Birds have eaten most of their food for the morning, and my 2 livestock guardian dogs have done a very nice job protecting that food. Of course, I'm noticing that both of you seem to have some burdock here. Maybe let me get yours. Toby, you got a bunch of them. What did you guys do again? It's like every morning I'm pulling burdock out of your fur. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done. We're doing football player. Whoop. Like, I know, you think it's roughhouse time. It's not. Toby lost patience with me, and now he's in full-on zoomy mode. Toby, come. I got most of them out. I'll have to get the last couple out a little bit later this morning. All right, now we need to attend to the task at hand and continue working on hoop coop prep. I've now successfully completed putting in a fence along basically the entire north wall of the hoop coop. That fence runs all the way now and connects to this fence that I have here. So this side will basically be the winter bird yard. And then this side, I'll be able to have actually the goats and the dogs be able to hang out. You might have noticed that I actually put in more fence posts than I need. That's because these fence posts are going to ultimately make the goat yard. So I'm going to be fencing in this coop so that I can keep the goats in there. And at least for the overnights, I'll lock the goats up in here. That house will now become the dog house again. And then during the day, I can actually let the goats out and play in this area, and I can let the dogs kind of have access to the whole thing. And so, yeah, this is going to take a couple of days to finish off, but it feels good to get out here and do this work. I can feel my foot like starting to hurt. I'm going to probably go ice it and put it up pretty soon. But before I can do that, the water system is probably thawed out at this point, and we've got to go move some cattle. The moo crew is a little bit cranky this morning because they're obviously getting moved, I don't know, probably 4 hours later, 5 hours later than they usually do. But I don't think you girls are gonna die. Hey, cows, come on, cows, fresh grass, come on. Hey, cows, come on, cows, fresh grass, come on, let's go. So I'm gonna keep them up here as long as I can keep their water flowing. Wanna say hi? Come here, Belle. Wanna say hi to me? Okay. Pretty soon we're gonna be spending a lot of time together this winter. I actually find that the winter, particularly the period of time when I'm weaning the calves off the milk from their moms, to me that actually is the best time to actually get to know them better and spend time with them and work with them and treat train them and all that good stuff. And so you can expect to see a lot of that this winter. As you can see with our girl Betty, she is definitely getting some healthy gulps out of it all. Now here comes the real test. If I can plug this in and have the water go, that means the pipes have unfrozen. Right as rain. Yeah, one of the things I've learned after doing this for a few years is sometimes it's best to change up how you do your chores depending on the time of year and the situation. I think there was one point in my life where I would have been so stubborn as to keep trying to get water out to them first thing in the morning versus last night I made sure they had plenty of water for the early morning and basically was able to just let them have kind of their mornings to themselves. And I come out here, it's like just about noon right now, and I'm able to move them and it's super easy and I don't have to fight anything versus trying to get the lines all de-thawed. At previous times in my life, that could have very much been the case. Wait, what's going on?
We have baby Jen's over here. She was sound asleep until you came roaring up.
Oh, hey Jeannie. Getting a little nap?
And then Pablo's there under a kale in his little...
Oh, so they are sleeping in the brassicas, both of them.
Looks like they're getting on better now.